Well, yes, I did take the Labor Day weekend off from doing my devotional on YouTube. I was having computer difficulties and internet difficulties, and just decided I'd go ahead and take a couple of days off. It's a long weekend. So when we left, we were looking at Solomon's life, and we were looking at the chronological Bible. And as we read through, we kind of looked at some of the major accomplishments of Solomon, and the fact that he wrote two Psalms that were recorded into Scripture for us, and Proverbs, probably 21 of the 31 Proverbs he either collected or wrote himself. We did not deal with the Song of Solomon and or the book of Ecclesiastes, because we really aren't done with Solomon's life. So let me remind you that we're going to do the OIA study technique, which is observation, interpretation, and application. And I dare you to do that as we look today at the Song of Solomon. I'm not sure where this should actually fit into his life, whether it's a reflection back as an old man. Most people don't think that's the case. Most people think that this was written early in his life when he was reflecting on real love relationships. But let's just deal with the Song of Solomon and recognize that there aren't a lot of people that agree exactly about the Song of Solomon. Metaphors, yes. Allegory, maybe. Is it what some would say was just pure fiction, a poetic poem that Solomon wrote about love and intimacy? Maybe. Allegorical, perhaps the relationship of God to his people and Jesus to his church? Maybe. Historical, an actual event in Solomon's life, that out of all of the wives and all of the concubines that he had, that there was one who really touched him in a deep spiritual way. Should it be used as a model for marriage? I think that there's certainly some wonderful qualities brought out in the Song of Solomon that could apply to marriage. Most people give it an outline like this: chapters 1 and 2, courtship; chapter 3 and 4, the wedding; chapter 5 and 6, the struggle within the wedding; chapter 7 and 8, the progress to find faithfulness and love even in the midst of the struggles and problems. Well, the Song of Solomon is a difficult, if nothing more than an allegory or just a marriage manual or a historical event in Solomon's life. It definitely deals with love. It has some very frank language in it. You don't find too many pastors preaching from the Song of Solomon unless they have come to a place where they have taken a rock-solid position that it is all allegorical, or that it is all historical, or that it is just a fiction poem that deals with a love relationship. I don't believe that I ever preached on the Song of Solomon by itself. I may be wrong. I'll have to go back and look at all of my notes, sermon notes, and so on, but I'm not sure that I ever preached on it. We did have a couples retreat one time when we looked at it as the possibility of a roadmap for marriage and for courtship and for intimacy. But I don't believe I can remember preaching a strong message on it, because you have to come to a strong conclusion of how you're going to approach it, whether you're going to approach it from the fiction standpoint, the allegorical standpoint, or the historical. You're going to be hard-pressed to make any of them fit exactly. But we certainly see the beauty of God's love, as we could in the book of Hosea, for example. We certainly could see some guidelines for marriage and the intimacy, and the fact that intimacy should be held in the bond of marriage, and that you have to work through the difficulties. And so there is lots of good value in the Song of Solomon. And if you have a strong position on the Song of Solomon, I'd love to hear from you. and hear your reasoning and see does everything in all 8 chapters fit your position on the Song of Solomon. Nevertheless, we know that Solomon certainly, with all of the wives that he had and all of the concubines that he had, certainly had good opportunity to experience love, intimacy, and relationships and troubles. And so I hope that you'll take a few minutes, you'll read through it, that you'll try to use the observation, interpretation, and the application to your life as you read through the Song of Solomon. I would challenge you that this is going to be probably one of your more difficult books to come to a firm and absolute confident position on what kind of interpretation you want to make to these 8 chapters in the Song of Solomon. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you. See you tomorrow.